guys, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Another edition, Rob Kendall Show. Don't forget the website, robkendallshow.com, robkendallshow.com. We've got the live link up there. We've got the on-demand podcasting platforms. All of them you can find the show at your leisure. And, of course, we've got articles about our favorite transcripts each day, favorite segments. Find it all, robkendallshow.com. Plus that support button. If you like what we do, if you want to be a part of the program, if you want to support us, $1, $10, whatever it might be, support button, all of that, robkendallshow.com. You can find me on Twitter, at RobMKendall, at RobMKendall. And new article out today. I've got it pinned up at the top of the at RobMKendall Twitter feed. Indy Star, new article out. You can read it now. It's about the Trump endorsements in the Indiana State Senate primaries and how Trump endorsing people he knows nothing about in most cases and potentially tipping the scales of the election could be very bad for us in terms of governance in the future, because basically it's letting these politicians campaign without telling you specifically what they will do and how they will fight for you on key issues. Again, if you want to check that out, wait till we're done here today. Check it out at Rob M. Kendall on Twitter. You can find the link to the Indy Star article. All right, so we are going to get to, here in just a little bit, this media freakout over RTV6 letting a bunch of employees go. Of course, they were purchased yesterday. The purchase became official with Circle City Broadcasting, and several members of the station staff, the on-air staff, were let go. There's this massive freakout, not just from the people inside of RTV6, but also people in the media across our city. I want to delve into that because that is fascinating to me. And we got to talk about where we're going with media in our city, across our state, in our country, because there's lots of opportunities here, but people have to want to tap into those. So we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But first, today is a big day in Washington, D.C., in front of our Supreme Court, because they are going to hear the Birthright Citizenship case. The U.S. Supreme Court is going to hear whether people that are born in this country to people who are not citizens of this country have an automatic right to be United States citizens. Now, this goes back to when, right after Trump became president for the second time, he signed an executive order requiring that in order to be a U.S. citizen, at least one of your parents has to be a citizen of this country or a legal permanent resident. And that is in direct contrast with previous interpretations related to the 14th Amendment by federal courts, including the U.S. Supreme Court. But obviously we have a much different makeup of the court now than the last time this case was heard. And so Trump said, I know this is going to get challenged. I know this is going to get struck down in lower courts. Let's get it to the Supreme Court to determine whether, if you're just born in this country by non-citizens, that grants you a citizenship right. Now, what's very interesting about this is that Trump has said he's going to hear the arguments in person. The President of the United States is going to head over to the Supreme Court and hear the oral arguments in person. Now, according to, and the information I'm working off of here is Andrew Rice writes for a media company called Center Square and NBC News. So I'm a little bit of mixture here as I'm giving you the information on this. According to NBC News, both the court and the nonprofit Supreme Court Historical Society said all the way back in October, there is no official record of any sitting president having ever attended in person the oral arguments in front of the high court. So in the 200 and I'm trying to do math here quick on the fly, 250 plus year history of our country now, 250-ish year history of our country, because we're celebrating the 250th birthday of America coming up this year. We've never had a president in front of the Supreme Court. That's amazing. We're going to make history today with Trump attending those oral arguments in person. So let's talk a little bit about the idea of birthright citizenship. And look, most of the stuff we do on this program is Indiana-based. It's Indiana-related, Indiana news, politics, and government. That's what we do. We do talk about national issues if they affect us here back home and how they affect us here back home. And I think certainly determining whether people in this country illegally get to be citizens, and those people could then legally live in the state of Indiana affects us. So let's delve into this. This is actually a very, very important ruling the Supreme Court is going to levy. And it's fascinating for me because usually when a case heads before the court, maybe we'll get an idea today. Maybe we will get an idea based on those oral arguments, what comes out of them. It's great now that audio is available of the oral arguments. Used to be just court reporters and people with sketch pads. Now you can actually hear the oral arguments. Usually you can get a pretty good idea where the justices are leaning based on the questions they ask, but not always. Look, take the overturning of Roe versus Wade. That was a Mississippi abortion law case that ultimately culminated in the complete overturning of Roe versus Wade. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. So you don't always know, but a lot of times you can get a good idea on the lean. In this case, entering the arguments, I don't really have any idea where this court is going to go. Because let's talk about it. And again, Andrew Rice over at Center Square had a pretty interesting and fair breakdown of this. This case goes back to the 14th Amendment. And the 14th Amendment, for those of you who don't know, was ensuring that slaves and their children and their future generations were able to have voting rights after the Civil War. That's what the 14th Amendment was all about. And so that's where this language, which the 14th Amendment reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States, and this is the key, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof is the key language. And I think it comes back to what we call original intent. What did the people who wrote the amendment, wrote the laws of the day, wrote the amendment to the Constitution, what did they intend, the states that ratified it, what did they intend to accomplish? What were they intending to say? And that's a big part for your more traditional justices when they interpret statute, when they make rulings. What was the original intent when the thing was written? And I don't think anybody with a straight face, any serious person, would say the people of the day intended to apply this to illegal immigrants, people breaking the law in this country, rewarding people illegally in the country by allowing their children to become citizens. I don't think any person that's a remotely serious, honest broker would tell you that's what they intended. Here's what the case that sort of most recently established the birthright citizenship. It goes all the way back to 1898. That's how long this has been being debated. U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark. So in 1898, the Supreme Court, on the case of U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark, said that a child born to Chinese parents could be considered a U.S. citizen under the language of the 14th Amendment. And that is sort of where the de facto stare decisis Supreme Court precedent has operated from. And out of that case, the judges, and this is fascinating, right? And look, some of this is kind of minutia, but it's really important. It's sort of where we're at and how did we get here. And you need to know this. By the way, I was talking about this earlier today on my Facebook Live and Twitter Live. One of the great things about our show, you give us 2 hours a day every day. You're going to probably be the smartest person amongst your friends in terms of politics, government, how it all works. And you'll be able to wow them with all the knowledge that you take with you, and you'll be a superstar. You'll be a superstar if you just give us 2 hours a day, every day. So really, going back to 1898, the opinion from the justices created sort of 3 categories of individuals who would be excluded from automatic citizenship despite being born in the United States. Children of diplomats, children born of invading armies, and children born to American Indians. Now, Eric Wesson is the Solicitor General for the Iowa Office of the Attorney General. And I thought he had a pretty good legal, rational legal interpretation of this, because there's no way that in the 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, 1890s, when the precipice for all this was decided, that the people today envisioned tens of millions of people illegally invading our country. It didn't exist. It wasn't happening. So when they talked about automatic citizenship, they weren't picturing this. It is clear the 14th Amendment comes out of protecting slaves who were freed after the Civil War and their future generations. That was the goal. That's what they were trying to do. So Eric Wesson, the Solicitor General for the Iowa Office of the Attorney General, said, quote, "It seems unlikely that the 14th Amendment was intended to serve as a magnet for birth tourism or to reward illegal reentry." Bingo. The 14th Amendment being a get-out-of-jail-free card and having stood as such for years really has served as an incentive for people to come to this country illegally. It allows their children born here to stay, and it gives them a better opportunity to stay themselves. I don't think there's any way that any normal person would say the people today were like, yeah, let's have a magnet for illegal immigrants, people breaking into this country, breaking our laws to want to come here. I don't think that any reasonable person would think that. I think you're clearly going to have three justices, Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch, who are going to side with Trump. You're going to have the three liberal justices, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sotomayor, and Kagan, side with the illegal immigrants. And then, as usual, you got the three in the middle: Coney Barrett, Roberts, and oh man, it'd be horrible here, Kavanaugh. Oh boy, that was. By the way, how many of your friends, like if you took 5 of your friends, do you think they could name all 9 justices of the Supreme Court? What percentage of your friends do you think could actually name all 9 justices of the Supreme Court? It's those 3 in the middle, and I have no idea how this is going to go. I could see it going either way. It wouldn't surprise me if it was 5-4. It wouldn't surprise me if it was 6-3. But this will be a monumental ruling by the Supreme Court with potentially serious ramifications going forward. Let's talk about one of our fabulous new supporters here at the Rob Kendall Show, Baltus Travel. Trips would be a lot more fun if you didn't have the hassle of having to plan them. Like if somebody just did all the work for you. If you said, I want to go here, but I don't want to put any effort into it. Luckily, there's a guy for that. Adam Baltus Travel Service. Adam is a one-stop shop to plan your entire adventure. And the great thing is, in most cases, using Baltus Travel Service won't cost you any more. He's basically working for you for free as far as you're concerned. Baltus Travel Service takes all the work and worry out of planning your trip without adding any cost. Adam's certified through most major cruise lines as well as Disney and Universal theme parks. Take that long-desired vacation today without the hassle of doing it, without the hassle of planning by visiting Baltus Travel, BALTUS, travel.com, or call 812-593-7561. 812-593-7561. Okay, we're going to get to this stuff with RTV6 here in just a second, but first, have you guys been following what's going on with Kristi Noem's husband? Like, I need your the audience participation on this, and I'll be fascinated in the YouTube chat. So if those of you who are new, if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. Tell your friends to do that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that thumbs up, that little thumbs up. That, guys, I know it sounds like a small thing. It is a huge help to us. Hit that little thumbs up. Let people know you like the page, and please share the feed, whether you're watching us live on YouTube, whether you're watching us on demand on YouTube, or listening on demand on the other platforms where we are gangbusters right now, Apple, the Spotify, all of them. Share the feed. Let people know. Those are three things you can do. Subscribe on YouTube or the other platforms, obviously, Apple, Spotify. Hit the little thumbs up. If you're on Apple, give us a 5-star review and share the feed. That's what we need. Okay. In order to comment in the YouTube chat, for those of you who are new, you have to be a subscriber. We have an awesome YouTube chat. Tons of cool people, great back and forth. We got a great little community here. And you have to be a subscriber in order to comment in the YouTube chat. And I know, look, we can see the data. This is the thing now. Producer Jason, he's like Santa Claus. He's making a list and he's checking it twice. And he knows how many people are watching this show that haven't subscribed yet? And while the subscriber numbers are great, there's several of you out there. It's like you're dining and it's like you're sort of dining and dashing. You're taking advantage of the service and you're not offering up payment or tributary, right? In this case, the tributary is just subscribe. Look, I know many of you are political people who want to remain anonymous. You're like, oh, I watch every day, but I don't want people knowing I watch. Come on. We don't ask much of you. Hit that subscribe button. I know there's a bunch of you out there. Jason pulled the data yesterday. If you're going to use the service, at least help us out and hit that subscribe button. We won't hold it against you. You shall remain anonymous as far as we're concerned. But anyway, in the YouTube chat, if you're a subscriber, you want a YouTube chat, this next topic, I want to get your opinion on if this is a big deal or not. Because there's part of me that's like, okay, it's his personal life, it's personal business. Everybody's got things that are weird about them that if you're the most intimate details of your life were exposed to the world, nobody would want that, right? Then there's the other part of it that's like, okay, but you're married to a very powerful person. She was the governor of a state. She was the Homeland Security Director. Like, she's still involved in the federal government, even though she was bounced out as Homeland Security head. You have some level of responsibility. And I get that, like, spouses, like, some people don't want the limelight. Look, you have been with her as she has elevated up the levels of power and authority and influence, and your actions can open her up potentially to blackmail. So I'm going to read you what's going on in case you're not aware, and then I'd be very curious to get your comments in the YouTube chat, which will be read later, the best ones, by producer Jason, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. And I know many of you guys love that. So comment, participate, be a part of the YouTube chat. So, okay. This is from the New York Post. The Daily Mail broke the story. According to the Daily Mail, reprinted in the New York Post, Brian Noem, who is Kristi Noem's husband, former governor, I always forget, is it North Dakota, South Dakota, doesn't matter. And then she later became head of Homeland Security in the Trump administration, chatted up women from the so-called bimbofication fetish scene, in which adult performers augment their chestular area with massive amounts of saline to achieve a Barbie doll-like appearance. Okay, like, I know, like, you're saying, what in the hell did that guy just say? Basically, this guy is into people that have very large chestular areas, overly enhanced, and he dresses up like that as well, as part of what he's into. Citing, quote, hundreds of messages purportedly sent by 3 women from the scene, Noem's husband enthusiastically praised their heavily augmented appearances and proclaimed he, quote, coveted huge, ridiculous, and he uses the word that I'm not going to use, chestular area, according to the Daily Mail. In one photo, the Mail claims Brian Noem shared with the women features of him wearing a pink hot pants and a flesh-colored skin-tight suit. There is a photo now that has surfaced of him with this. He appears to have put balloons in his shirt to mimic comically oversized lopsided chestular area, complete with fake protruding nipples. And these photos have surfaced. And this has been confirmed by Noem and now confirmed by Trump. And when Trump got hit with it, he tried to go, well, has that been confirmed? And they're like, yeah, she confirmed it. He goes, it's too bad. It's like, what is going on here? His face is fully visible in several of these photos, according to the New York Post from the Daily Mail, with a completely straight visage and another making a flirtatious kissy face with pursed lips. Noem, who made his fortune in the insurance industry, also allegedly sent women he met in the online fetish community some $25,000 via Cash App. $25,000 as he admired their over-the-top chestular sizes and amazing curves. And it goes on and on and on and on. Look, this is where I don't know what to do with this. Because, again, if you took any of us, well, for the most part, any of us, and you're like, okay, the most personal details of your life are going to be broadcast to the masses, And I'm not even just talking like in a sexual nature. I'm just talking the most personal details of your life. Everyone has strife. Everyone has conflict. Everyone has a part of them that the average person might look at and go, okay, that's a little weird. There's a part of me that's like, okay, it's his life. He can do what he wants. As long as it doesn't harm me, I don't care. Like, I don't care. And that's the way I am for most people, unless they present themselves as being morally superior. They are telling people how to live their lives. This is why, like with the Nathan Peternell saga. Of course, Nathan Peternell is the lead pastor at Life Church. His son, Jonathan Peternell, went to prison, has pled guilty to crimes against children, which were committed while living in Nathan's house. And then as a part of that, it came out that Nathan Peternell had a massive personal sex tape collection of him with his wife that his now convicted son got access to. And so to me, okay, that becomes a big deal because you are presenting yourself as a morally superior person. You're presenting yourself as someone who is telling others how to live their lives. Okay, now the public has the right to know that. Also, your son went down living under your roof for massively horrible crimes, and he obtained these photos. What else did he obtain? We have the right to know that. That, to me, okay, the public has an interest in this. That's different than some other person, some private person, some person not telling other people how to live their lives, not being in a position of authority over others, that has a sex tape collection. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Same thing with this guy. I don't care what he does in his personal life, except that your wife was a really important person in the government. She had immense power, and you doing this potentially opened yourself and her up for blackmail. Look, you as a collective, you as a couple chose the life of being a powerful people, her being a powerful person who has the ability. I mean, what did she go down for? She went down for trying to spending $200 million of our money on a campaign ad for herself. That's why she went down. She has access to vast resources. The safety of this country depends on this. She is dealing with keeping people out of this country. Who knows what she was opened up to because of this guy's actions? Doesn't mean it was anything, but it could have been. So there's part of me that says, okay, while one side of me says, private life, whatever you do, that's you, unless you're involved in a relationship where the person that you are married to is opened up to blackmail because of your actions, and that could affect the entire country of 330 plus million people. Where are you guys at on this? I would be fascinated to hear what you guys have to say about this. Let us know in the YouTube chat. Let me tell you about our friend Lauren Wilson. Lauren Wilson with At Properties, Realtor Extraordinaire. And Lauren Wilson believes that selling your home is a massive transition. And she knows it can feel overwhelming. That's why Lauren Wilson believes that you deserve a real estate experience that's as personal as the home you're selling. Trust your home and your home sale to someone local. Lauren is a lifelong Hoosier and a military vet. She would love the opportunity to get to meet and know you and what you want to accomplish with your home sale and your home purchase or your home purchase. Lauren Wilson with At Properties. She'd love to hear from you. She'd love to get to know you. She'd love to hear more about you, even if you're just kind of hemming and hawing. Should I sell my home? Should I buy another home? Should I upgrade? Should I downgrade? She can help you with all of that. She'd love to hear your story. Lauren Wilson with At Properties. 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this mass freakout about WRTV 6 getting bought by the guy who owns Wish TV, and the media freaking out about this. And could this be something that ends up being good for many people involved, including us, the consumer? I think everybody's maybe missing the big picture here, but maybe not. Be curious to get your thoughts on it. We'll talk about it next. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Welcome back, Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for being a part of this with us today. If you haven't, hit that little thumbs up button. Give us a like. It really helps us out. Again, I know it sounds like a small thing. Letting YouTube know that you like what we do, that is very helpful to us. So real quick, just help us out. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button as well if you haven't done it. We keep growing that subscriber count. That's another great way to help us grow the program. Just a reminder, if you were not aware, I have a new column out today in the Indy Star. If you're like, man, I just can't get enough of Rob Kendall. And how could you not get enough of Rob Kendall? New column out today in Indy Star. When you get done with the show today at noon, you can go read it. I've got it pinned right at the top of my Twitter feed, at Rob M. Kendall. And it is about these Trump endorsements in the Indiana Senate primaries and the concern that I have that these endorsements for Trump are preventing Senate candidates from having to lay out specific things they will do if elected. And it's going to hurt governance no matter who wins in the end. And we also go into a little bit of Trump dumping on his closest allies with some of these endorsements. It's all very bizarre, and I don't think it's good for us long-term for our governance here in Indiana. So read that later today at Indy Star. And we also did an interview. I did an interview with Jacob Stewart and James Briggs. They are the opinion editors at Indy Star. It's on the Star's YouTube page. If you want to watch that after we get done here today at noon. 30 minutes. We talked about all sorts of things. Leaving WIBC, which we'll come back to here in just a second. We talked about starting this podcast, about how great you guys have been, helping us grow the show here, about how great the results have been. We talked about why do all the politicians hate me? We went into that a little bit. We talked about my former relationship with Micah Beckwith, why that went south, just all sorts of things. About 30-minute conversation. If you guys want to check that out later, you can as well. And so that brings me to the big news yesterday, which was that WRTV 6 has now formally been acquired by Circle City Broadcasting. Circle City Broadcasting is owned by a guy by the name of DeJuan McCoy. DeJuan McCoy, the big property he owns a couple media properties on the TV side here in central Indiana. The big one you're probably most familiar with is Wish TV, Channel 8. And I have met DeJuan McCoy one time in person. He is a fascinating guy. He lives here in Indianapolis. He's an Indiana guy. Spent about an hour with him last year. Incredible story. He was in the TV industry, not as an owner, but as an employee. He kept getting very frustrated with how TV stations were doing things what he felt were the wrong way. he pooled all of his resources together and was able to buy a television station in Texas and took that station, I believe it was actually a couple stations, I think it ended up being, and was able to sell that, and he's built essentially a media empire off of his own hard work and sweat. Now, look, DeJuan McCoy is an interesting guy. He's very eccentric, but I get along great with eccentric people. So it was fascinating to me to hear his story and how he sort of built himself from the ground up, and he is a local guy. He lives here. And so upon Circle City Broadcasting acquiring RTV6, which is the ABC affiliate, by the way, for those of you who aren't from Central Indiana, I know most of you are at least in the greater Central Indiana area, but some of you are not. It's the ABC affiliate. Many of the station on-air staff were let go. Not all of them, but a huge portion of them. And several of them posted about that on their various social media feeds. And I thought it was interesting, the response from media in this city, not just people who were affiliated with the TV station, RTV6, but sort of like the collective media going, oh my gosh, this is so horrible. This is so bad. And it got me thinking about our industry. And when I say our industry, I'm talking about media as a collective, not just television, not just radio, not just print, but all of us. And terrestrial media, I'm talking about the traditional way we can, the TV and radio especially, and to some extent the paper, and I'll come back to that in a second, is in a bad spot. And we've talked about this before in the program. Bad spot like a 911 moment where we're at. And I know because I've experienced it. And if anybody knows about getting let go from a legacy terrestrial media company, media entity, it's me. Look at what I just went through. And so I tried to apply some of my own experiences to what I was seeing going on with RTV6 and the people being let go there. First of all, for the foreseeable future, terrestrial media will be a part of our fabric. It will also be a somewhat prominent part of our fabric. I'm talking television, I'm talking radio. It's going to be a part of the game. But the numbers are irrefutable that every year fewer and fewer people look to terrestrial media as their primary source of information. Being quite candid, they don't need it. They don't need it. And when fewer and fewer people are looking to a specific form of media as the way they can get their information, get their listening habit, their viewing habit, that means there's going to be fewer and fewer advertising dollars, because what do advertisers want? They want eyeballs. They want ears. That's why they put their money behind something. Now, we're different. I'll come back to this in a second about what we do, because I think what we're doing now, and I'm not saying just us, I'm saying the medium we're in as a collective is the way to go forward. And I want to talk about that in a second. But in terms of a national brand, a national buy, or even a local buy on a large media entity, the people who are buying that product are buying for results. These businesses are not running soup kitchens. They're spending dollars to get business. They're spending dollars to get people to walk through their door. And the fewer people that you have for them to pull from, math tells us that's likely the fewer customers you're going to get. And so there's going to be less revenue in these mediums because there are fewer people using the mediums, which means inevitably there's going to be cuts. If the people who are upset want to blame anything, blame the medium itself. You can blame ownership, you can blame whatever. But radio and television are receding in terms of the amount of people using them as their primary way to get information, or the way they get information at all. And look, nobody loved radio more than me. Nobody was a more loyal cheerleader for radio than me, and maybe someday I'll go back to radio. It's not a negative connotation. I've had talks with people about doing television. It's not a negative connotation about television. The reality is, though, that, and I've said this for years, and it just keeps coming more and more true by the event, corporations were not meant to own media outlets. They weren't. Media outlets were designed to be owned by creative, people who were invested in the area of that the entity was serving. And yes, they wanted to make money. If you look back to people on radio or television stations, local ones back in the 60s and 70s, even in the 80s, was a lot of wacky, interesting local people. You think about names like Bill Shirk, right? Guys who, and for you longtime Indianapolis, Central Indiana lifers, you'll know that name. And I'm just pulling out one. There were many Bill Shirks. Guys who made money, made a lot of money in some cases, did pretty well. But their first and foremost thought was about serving the community. That's why you had great local news coverage. Look at what IBC once was. You had guys like Fred Heckman. And I'm not in any way trying to besmirch or belittle the news department today. There's just not as many people. There's just not as much money behind it. You can't do what you once did. So everything these people did was about serving their community, and they said, okay, let's make money in the process of doing that. And so they had the eyes and the ears of the entire city. That's who was meant to own newspapers and radio stations and TV stations. That's why they were great. That's why people remember them so fondly during those periods of time. When a corporation, a large corporation, acquires something, they are most times, now not in this case, I'm going to come back to this in a second, but they are in most cases beholden to the shareholders, to the stockholders, to the board of directors. They don't actually care about the places they're buying other than can they make us money? Just like other companies buy things, they don't care about them. They acquire other companies. They buy stuff. And then they figure out how do we own this thing and make it more effective? How do we make it more efficient? And most of the time, okay, we have this company. These people can already do A, B, and C. This company's already paying people to do A, B, and C. Okay, you're gone. Now look, we have the same company. We still do A, B, and C, but we did it without having to pay for extra people. Happens in radio, happens in television, happens in widget making, happens everywhere. So that is what a corporation does. And in the case of radio and television, and to some extent print, and many extents print, there are fewer and fewer people working in these buildings, in these local buildings, because they can outsource it. It's not as good as it once was. There's not the volume of coverage there once was. There's not the dedication to the intricacies of the business or the little things that made the thing great. Didn't exist anymore. But the corporation doesn't care because they want to make money. In any corporation, for the most part, do you think they actually care about you? Do you think Coke cares about you? Whether if Coke wants to sponsor us, we'll convince people Coke cares about you. No. Buy my stuff. Unless you're some local merchant on the square or some local merchant like we talk about here who are accountable to the community which they are serving, our realtors, our loan guy, or the vent set, all of these people that we promote are accountable to you because they're in your community. They screw up, they know you're going to bitch about them, and that could hurt their business. You have a bad experience with Coke? Coke don't care. They're Coke. And it's the same thing with these media entities. They want to put a product out, putting the least amount of money into it to get the most amount of eyes or ears for the least amount of money. That's it. That's it. Now, with RTV6, these people shouldn't have been surprised that this happened. The same way for 2.5 weeks when I sat home, I said, I've been around this business long enough to know this isn't going to end well. When the company doesn't talk to you and you're just sitting at home, you got a pretty good idea. So I could have spent the past those 2 weeks just sitting around going, oh, woe is me. This is horrible. Oh, it's all over. Or I did what I did, which is, okay, I got to start planning for what the next thing is if the inevitable thing happens, which it did. And so what do? We bounce back right away. I had a plan in my head. And look, my wife and Jason and many other people told me for years, they said, you need to be on YouTube doing what you're doing now. And I said, no, it's fine. IBC's going to last forever. No, it's not. This will succeed. You need to do. I can't tell you the amount of times Jason told me this. When I told my wife I was done at IBC, she said, see, I told you. Oh, thanks for the sympathy, honey. Sorry, you lost your job where you've been for 9 years. See, I told you. And they were right. But they were right. Look at how quickly we've grown this thing. And if we'd have been doing this 3, 4, 5 years ago, think about where it'd be today. The point is, though, if you know the train is coming down the tracks, and in any consolidation, which they had months of buildup on this, because it required approval from the FCC and it was a drawn-out thing. I mean, I talked to Dwan McCoy last year. That was 6, 7 months ago now, it seems like. And this was, on the horizon. If you were one of these people in the newsroom, you had to know something was coming. You got to plan ahead in this business. And the message should be, as I'm learning, and I'm saying this from my own experience. Look, I was heartbroken when I was let go from WIBC because I looked around and said, what could I do better? We're number one. I do it with the skeleton staff around me. I had somebody in the studio with me and a producer. That was it, right? I mean, and we produce that because of you every day. And you sit there and you go, well, what could I do better? 9 years, I gave all of this to this place. It's the world we live in. Your ownership doesn't owe you anything. Too often in media, and I never felt I was entitled to a job, but too many people in media think they are entitled to a job. You're not. It doesn't mean you're not talented. It doesn't mean you're not good. It doesn't mean you won't catch on somewhere else. But if you're thinking that your career, especially in the terrestrial format, you're going to do it the way people did 30, 40 years ago, where you're going to have some great career in television or radio, you're dreaming. I'm finding this out the hard way. We had numbers in that midday show that program directors would give an arm for. We would double the competition in some demos, double them. It didn't matter in the end. Your employer doesn't owe you an explanation. I never got one. A lot of people speculate, but they don't owe me one. They never owed me anything. You're done. Goodbye. Okay, thank you. I'll go do this now. And for the people who got let go yesterday, well, this is it. This is the future of this business. If you're not planning on doing something on your own, you have zero stability. And by stability, I mean, look, this thing could end tomorrow. All the sponsors could pull out and you guys could stop giving over at robkendallshow.com. Hit that support button if you're like, yes, let's make sure Rob is able to be stable. $1, $10, whatever. We appreciate everyone who gives over there. But the point is, I had this idea for years that I thought this would work. For years, I thought what I'm doing now would work. Jason and I have talked about this countless times, and I just never pulled the trigger on it. My fault. Look at how well it's worked. Tried to pitch this to countless people. No, that wouldn't work. No, you can't do that. Because corporations, especially national corporations, I'm going to come back to Dwan McCoy here in a second, because I think there's some real opportunity here with him. National corporations don't think creatively. None of them do, right? Outside of the box of whatever they're in. Like Coke has a marketing department, right? They're dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, since they're big, they move slowly. They don't see other than what's in front of the box. And so for the people who got let go, if your thing is like, now I got to find a new news market, well, if that's your life you're prepared for, then good luck. The best of luck to you. You're never going to probably find stability. You're going to keep going through this because corporations are going to keep buying other corporations. That's the future of terrestrial media. Eat, 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 eat. And every time a big corporation eats a big corporation and that corporation goes bigger, they're going to cut. That's their only pathway to profitability in many cases now. Radio, TV, print. Look, we talked about the Indie Star bringing me in. Why are they bringing me in as a guest columnist? Why did they have me do the podcast yesterday with them? Not because I think I'm a swell guy. I mean, maybe they do. I like James Briggs. I like Jacob Stewart. They're good writers. But they brought me in because, hey, the guy brings a lot of attention. We let him write. People will read the publication. People will subscribe to the publication to hear what this guy has to say because he's super controversial and people like him and people hate him. But either way, they're consuming his content. The stories we pick here, it's about consuming content. I pick stories that I think will be interesting to you. And it's really an insight into the media. By the way, when Rob Kendall got let go, I mean, you guys cried. The audience cried. I didn't get a lot of pats on the back or, oh, it's so horrible. Rob's gone from IBC. From these same people. I was in the building for 9 years. All I did was produce. All I did was produce. These same people who are crying rivers of tears for the RTV6 people yesterday. Oh, this is bad for our industry. This is not good. Blah, 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 blah. This is the industry. The industry is mostly over. We just don't know it yet. Not over in the sense of tomorrow TV isn't going to exist or be an important medium. It is. It will still be here throughout the remainder of my life, Jason's life. So will radio, but not the way it once was. It's the inevitability of math. So if you're one of those people who got let go yesterday, I am proof that you can bounce back and pretty quick. But you can't spend time crying about it. Your employer owes you nothing. Look, nobody loved WIBC more than me. I grew up with it. I loved it. I gave everything to it. And you know what that got me? Goodbye. Good luck. And I didn't say anything bad about Urban One doing that. That's their right as an employer. You guys were pissed off and you've responded accordingly, but that's their business. So until the media people start figuring out nobody owes us anything and you got a producer, you're out, this is the path we're going to be on. Now, I want to talk about DeJuan McCoy real quick. And we'll run a little long here, but this is important because the media landscape changing in our state is important. DeJuan McCoy, look, somebody was going to buy that TV station, okay? It was for sale. Now, I know DeJuan, I think, had been really having his eye on that for a while. But somebody was eventually going to buy that TV station. It was everything's for sale. If you have to have somebody buy an entity, and look, it sucks that people got let go. I'm not disputing that. But people are going to be let go regardless. This is what corporations do. If somebody was going to buy it and rebuild it or reimage it, don't we have the best shot of getting more local coverage if it's a local guy owning it? Someone who might do local programming, someone who you could actually talk to and potentially have an ability to influence in the area of creativity. Hey, that's an outside-the-box idea. Let's go with it. I think the best opportunity, if the television station was inevitably going to be sold, was to have a local guy buy it. Sure, he wants to make money. Of course he wants to make money. So would anybody else who bought it. Of course he let people go. So would anybody else who bought it. It's happening all over the place. So my point is, I think maybe something good will come out of this. I'm optimistic and hopeful that whatever RTV6 looks like going forward and whatever Wish TV looks like going forward makes local coverage better because a local guy who's accountable to local people now is calling the shots. Maybe I'll be completely wrong. Maybe it will be absolutely awful. I don't know, but I want to be optimistic about it. Somebody I'm very optimistic about, Gary Tedrow. Buying a home or thinking about refinancing, work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homeowners and home buyers explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating high-interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes, loansbygary.homes, or call 317-695-5179, 317-695-5179 to get started today. Gary Tedrow, in MLS, number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, in MLS, number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, the Secretary of State's race is heating up. And our next guest, well, she's going to join the chorus of people dumping on Diego Morales. Lori Schillings, the Libertarian nominee for Secretary of State, bringing the smoke when we come back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, a realtor with App Properties. Born and raised right here in central Indiana and a Hoosier through and through. Selling your home is a massive undertaking, and I completely understand what that is. That's why when you work with me, we put a great plan together to make sure that when your home comes to the market, it is in the best light possible. Again, I'm Lauren Wilson, 317-590-2290, 317-590-2290. Let's put a plan together and get your home sold.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558. Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. The big race this year on your ballot this fall will be Indiana's Secretary of State. And joining us now in studio, the Libertarian nominee for Secretary of State in the state of Indiana, Lori Schillings. Lori, hello.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, this is the first question I always ask people who run for public office.
Right.
Why are you doing this to yourself?
Why am I doing this to myself? That's an excellent question.
Did you draw a short straw?
I did not. I actually volunteered for this.
Oh, that was a horrible mistake.
Because, nobody had to hunt me down. Nobody had to force me to do this or just second-handedly say this. I saw an opportunity where the office is being mismanaged.
Don't say.
Yeah, there's been a few headlines and all of them for the wrong reason.
Right.
That I felt that this office really needed somebody with integrity and commitment and just a all-around Hoosier get-it-done attitude, and I'd like to bring that to this office.
So I want to learn a little bit about your background here in a second, but first, I felt 4 years ago, you guys, Libertarians, had sort of an A-plus candidate in Jeff Moore. You know, I love Jeff and was a big supporter of his, and I think he felt the same thing, and that's why he ran. How do you, as a Libertarian, get the word out? I mean, let's face it. You guys have trouble with fundraising. You have a hardcore group of supporters. But how do you expand on that when even a Jeff Moore struggled to do that 4 years ago?
So here's the beautiful thing about Libertarians. We know how to do the most with less.
That's right.
That's honestly how that, and I will say a lot of other candidates don't have that background or knowledge about how to do that. They're used to big war chests. They're used to giant availability of funding. And here's what I say is that, when you're not selling favors, it's real hard fundraise.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So, grassroots is what we depend on. And I've had some tremendous support already. I mean, I've got stuff on the IBJ front page now.
That's rare for a Libertarian.
You're not kidding.
You've got me and the IBJ. That's all you need.
That's all I need, Rob. I'm depending on you.
Yes, it all comes down to me. But how do you... Does Ballard being in the race as a third, because let's face it, Libertarians get a lot of protest votes. There are a lot of people who are Libertarians, and that's, 3-4%. But then you get a lot of people who are like, I hate both sides, I'm going Libertarian. How does Greg Ballard being in the race as an independent, if he gets the signatures, how does that alter what you do? Are you worried about not getting those protest votes Libertarians normally get?
I've got a couple things to say about that. One, I think it's great that people are considering other options besides the old party system.
Yeah, that's right.
First off, great. Lovely. We'd love to have them come onto the Libertarian board because they understand that we have ballot access and have had it for 32 years. And we get that through the Libertarians' vote total in the Secretary of State's race. So if we get 2% on November 3rd, then that's what gets us ballot access for the next 4 years.
Okay, so that's really important for people to understand. This little civics lesson here.
Right.
In Indiana, for a party to remain on the ballot, like regular ballot access, it's the Secretary of State's race that judges that.
Right.
And you have to get 2%.
Right.
So if the Libertarians don't get 2%, then they would just go away off your ballot.
Yes. And what happens is we would have to then go through the whole get signatures, which is this year 37,000 of them.
That's a lot, as Mr. Ballard is finding out.
As he is finding out, he's going to have some struggles with that, and I wish him the best of luck.
Do you think he'll be able to get them?
I do not know.
Do you want him to get them?
Here's the thing. Competition is good.
Yeah.
And libertarians have always said more ballot options are always better.
Right.
And I'm going to spin that in a way just like I did before. Let's get more people to the ballots who are going to vote for someone besides the two-party system. Of course, I want them on my camp, but let the best man win at this point. And Ballard is just a Republican who's rebranded as an independent.
That's a fair point.
I mean,
He's a
honestly.
Republican mayor.
Right. So those kind of people are going to have to understand they're going to get a known quantity of something that they've already had.
Right.
It's time for new people, new voices, and new options.
Okay, so, but I do think it's important to point out there is a lot riding on this for the libertarians because, and that's always, I think the libertarians have done we're honest here. Right?
Yeah.
I think you guys have nominated some squirrels over the years.
I will say in the past, yes. Recently, we've had really great candidates.
I think your Secretary of States have always been very good. The Mark
Right.
Rutherford type of people who are very professional, and you guys have always easily cleared that 2% threshold. I do worry, though, that if you lose the protest one, so I think people need to know that when they're thinking about, hey, if I don't like the two parties, there's a lot riding on this for you guys, because if you don't get the 2%, you go away.
Right. And that's not just for my race alone.
No pressure.
We're considering, I know, we're considering that this is down ballot. Right. So local races, people who depend on having third party options on their ballots at local level, this race is what gets that for them. So it's very important to kind of consider that. And, you had asked a question about, what makes us different? How are we going to get this voice out? I have a comprehensive marketing plan already that's in place. It's been in place from the time I declared.
I'm surprised the libertarians let you in. You're so well organized and very mainstream.
I come from a business background. So I'm a creative director for a local university.
Is that what you do for a job?
That is my day job.
Okay. You have a very normal job.
Go UIndy, by the way.
Oh, so UIndy, you're even naming it.
Go Greyhounds. So, I do this for a living. I understand business, what it takes to get out there, to get the word out. And that's what I'm counting on. But, as we said, we don't sell favors.
Right.
And we do depend on grassroots. So, if anybody out there wants to talk to me, they can talk to me at LoriForLiberty.com, L-A-U-R-I.
LoriForLiberty.com is your website. There's 10,000 different ways to spell Lori. So
right.
It's L-A-U-R-I.
Correct.
It's like Lauren.
Except without the E-N.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So Lori Schillings, the Libertarian nominee for Secretary of State, is our guest. You mentioned selling. What did you say? We don't sell favors?
We don't sell favors.
I assume you're referencing the current incumbent, Diego Morales, who, let's face it, conveniently, he's given some no-bid contracts to people who have given a sizable amount of money to his campaign.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second.
We can.
Should there be no bid contracts given out in the state of
Never,
Indiana?
especially as a good fiduciary of the funds. And that's something that any government agency should be receiving bids, finding the best kind of contractor for the job. One, to make sure that they're going to be doing the job correctly. And two, that it's a good funding issue. So, as someone who's like, I've had to be scrappy my whole life.
Right.
I grew up in western half of the state in a very small rural community and not very affluent at all. I've, as we said before, had to do the most with less. And I'd like to bring that kind of like frugal mentality with me when I go.
Why do the Republicans tolerate Morales? They all know what he is. There's no doubt. He doesn't hide it. He's very brazen about the behavior. Do you have a theory on why they tolerate Diego?
Well, he probably does exactly what he's told to do. Don't you think? And
I have no idea. To me, that's why I'm asking you.
So, Rob, let's talk about, Republican loyalty things right now. If you're not towing the line for Republican strong arm, you're probably not doing the best work for your party. I don't have that issue as a libertarian. My boss just wants me to do a great job and, make a good representation for libertarians across the state.
Okay, so but it's like, isn't it weird to you? There's a viable challenger, and I get you're running your own campaign, but you're gonna have to run against one of these people,
right?
And you probably do want to run against Diego because there'll be a lot more protest votes. Is that fair to say you want to run against Diego? You want Diego to be the nominee because a lot more people will protest.
I want the best person for the job to be on their ballot, and if that's what they think is the best person for the job, more power to them. But his record speaks for himself. He's been fired from the office twice already. Let's make it third time a charm.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second, because I think this is interesting. And people say, well, you're Lori Schillings, but he is the Secretary of State. This is the job
He's
that
the
you want. I
incumbent.
think it's fair to talk about this guy. what you're referencing is there is paperwork that has shown Todd Rokita was the Secretary of State. He fired, or his office fired, Diego Morales as an employee of the office.
Right.
It's never been disputed that I'm aware of that they said, no, this is,
No, it's actually pretty good record.
Some sort of government-created conspiracy that nobody's refuted this. And Rokita's never explained it either, even though he's endorsed Morales.
Well, again, loyalty.
And then there's paperwork that shows when Charlie White was the Secretary of State, who Charlie White had some serious
He was also
issues. He had some issues. He didn't serve a full term. That he was about, or his office was about to fire Diego before Diego quit from the office. And this is the Republican standard bearer for the office.
They thought he was the best guy for the job. So what does that tell you about the Republican Party right now?
Right. Now, but so why won't they just dump him? Like David Shelton seems like, and I get you're not going to be here campaigning for David Shelton, but I think we can all agree he seems like a far better option than Diego.
I feel like he shows up at a lot of breakfasts and serves pancakes. He does, yes. That's kind of how they kind of base that for this particular race, because it's not on a primary ballot. This is only decided at the state convention for the parties. So whoever likes him the most or has the most party loyalty, or if he's said, I'll do whatever the Republicans tell me to do, then that's probably how he's getting on the ballot. I had to earn my votes. Libertarians have NOTA, which is none of the above. If they didn't think I was a good candidate, they could have lost. I could have lost to NOTA. Yeah,
well, this is crazy. Okay, so Lori Schillings, the Libertarian nominee for Secretary of State, is our guest. So the Libertarians do it the right way by force, but you have your own convention, no taxpayer money. All your office holders get nominated at the convention.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that because you were the only person who sought the nomination
at this time,
you were the only sucker who said, I want this.
Yeah.
But you could lose.
I could absolutely lose. If the membership body says you're a terrible candidate, Lori, they could have voted for NOTA and they could have spoke to NOTA.
Could have lost I will just in person.
Right. And that's how we have a check and balance system within our own party. So if we have an infiltrator who comes in or somebody who doesn't represent what libertarian platforms are, then people can stand up and be like, no, dude, they're a terrible person. They're actually just an infiltrator from another party.
Crazy.
And they can actually win the vote. And then we just wouldn't have a candidate in the race.
Oh, that's wild. So you beat no one. Congratulations.
Thank you. Winning.
It's a big win.
Winning.
Okay. So on the Democrat side, it's probably going to be Bo Bai.
That is the presumptive nominee, but Blythe has some supporters in her back.
So there is a woman, Blythe Potter is her name. She's challenging him from the left. The Democrats are great at snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, aren't they? Like, you have a guy who's going to raise $10 million, who has the name, the look, all the stuff, and they're like, maybe we don't want that. The Democrats we rip on the Republicans a lot, but the Democrats are insane people too.
Well, let's think about that for a minute too. So he is a legacy family here in Indiana, a long history of politics.
He has a lot of rich friends, though. I need more rich friends. I hang out with Jason. He is not rich.
Jason seems rich in personality.
Well, you never met him.
Seems rich in personality. So, if we think about that, though, are we going to get the same sort of standard that we always have with that family? And is it a political stepping stone for Bo? I mean, is he?
No doubt, right? Come on. You think
so? This
man did the same thing.
2 years and then went for something else, right?
No, Bo Biden's going to be some career bureaucrat.
If he gets the office, he's going to spend 2 years poking at Diego's record and then move on to something else. Is he really going to dedicate himself to the role?
Am I wrong, though? Okay, and I'm going to ask you if you will do this in a second, because maybe you have the same plan. I do feel like if Bai got in there, though, he would totally expose all the dirt on Morales, because he wants to take down the Republicans.
They can do that already. I mean, if they just did an audit of the office, naturally, it's going to come out if there was any wrongdoing. It doesn't have to be Bo, right? First off. Now, the other thing with that is that if he does that, he's just going to step to another role. That is not my position. I'm going to be there for 4 years dedicated to that office only. And I want to go do my real life when I'm done. I don't want to keep doing this as a political move.
So let's talk about Lori Schillings, the Libertarian nominee for Secretary of State, is our guest. And by the way, our goal is to interview every person running for Secretary of State.
I hope they all come.
Greg, we love the third parties and the independents around here. Our first two interviews, Greg Ballard and you. We haven't even interviewed the main party people yet.
Yeah.
Nobody.
We'll see if they show up.
Well, I think Shelton's going to show up, and I think Bo Bai will show up, and we're going to ask the other two if they want to come as well. But if you get into that office, what's the first thing you're going to do? Lori Schillings shocks the world. She wins the Secretary of State race. What is the first thing you're going to do when you get in there?
First thing I would do would address that website. I've been campaigning.
Does it stink?
It is so broken right now. Even I've had multiple people, and my campaign alone has had 404 errors trying to file paperwork.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, it is. And I've got screenshots to prove it. And so that's the first thing I'm going to address is functionality and make sure it's updated. It is locked in like the early 2000s kind of vibe when you go there. Tabling over the last year talking about this and interfacing with business owners all over the state, the first thing they talk about is the frustrations they have with that website and how they can't get their filings done properly. If any mistakes are made, they have to physically call or email to get things corrected. There's no self-correction.
This is why I like you. Like, I thought you were going to be some red meat answer, like, I'm going to open every computer server and I'm going to expose all the product. You're like, no, I'm going to fix the website.
Dude, it's about service. This job is about service in Indiana. It's about serving businesses.
It should be.
It should still be.
Yeah.
And it's not only just the businesses that we're trying to help with this. It's, in all ways.
The producer Jason pointed out, it's right. They're all photos of Diego.
It is a campaign launch for him. And every tabling event that he's at is all his face and his name. It's not necessarily Secretary of State.
Can you go into that for a second? He uses that office as a 24/7 campaign machine.
Why would he not? It's getting paid for by your taxpayer dollar. If you'd like something different, I'm your girl.
Okay. Do you believe, like, if you're Secretary of State, because you know me, I think we're all doomed no matter what. I want some juice. I want some content for this
Your
show.
positivity is overwhelming.
Yes. Well, you knew when you came here, right?
Yeah, I know.
You don't know what you're
I know.
going to get to. You would get in there, right? What do you think you find? Like, you start digging around on who Morales has done business with, and then it's like it's like getting into, like, remember the X-Files? The guy would just slide the envelope under Mulder's door, each week at the end of each episode. Like, what do you think you'd find if you got in there?
I can't even presume what I would find, but should anything come to light, we would certainly address it in the most appropriate and ethical manner.
Oh, that's such a boring answer.
It's a real answer, though.
I was hoping for something good.
It's a real answer.
Throw him in jail. Juicy.
If it was lucrative enough to lend to that, then yes. I mean, why would you not follow that through the fullest extent of the law if there was some misdoing?
I don't think that's what I like. I like the idea of a professional person being in that office because, and you tell me if I'm wrong with this, I'm outraged at the behavior of Diego because it's such an important office. Elections, business,
right.
And the idea that you have somebody who has so abused really the trust of the taxpayers.
Agreed. And, I've always said it is people of Indiana over politics,
right,
every single time. This office should be treated like a public trust, not a political tool.
Yeah.
And when we do those kind of things, it erodes trust in not only our voter base, but our businesses too. When they can't rely on the office that they have to interface with to do the work that they do in Indiana.
Right.
Entrepreneurs can't flourish. It's hard enough if you're a brand new business owner thinking, I need to file an LLC to be legally compliant, to make all these things. And you can't go in there and do the work that you need to in a confident manner.
And he screwed up like the voting thing. What was the campaign filing forms? Wasn't that a big deal?
Over 300 people had to refile their forms because there was an appropriate witness to the thing when they signed it.
I think like the Republicans who control everything would be like, okay, this guy is so incompetent and he's so rotten. Like, we got to get rid of him. There's never any criticism. They are tougher on Ballard.
Right.
I think that's
well, because they think he's a contender. That's why.
Okay. Elevator pitch. You got 30 seconds. People who are just learning about you. Thus far, I would say you have the best personality of anyone running.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I think you may be like the most genuine of anyone running so far. But it's like, it's like The Bachelor over here, right?
Right.
Like, we need to be wowed. We've still got some other candidates does The Bachelor give the rose too? I don't watch it.
I'm not a big TV person.
What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun?
Yeah, what do you do for fun?
There's a lot of things.
Part of politics, right? What I want to hang out with you. You seem like someone fun to hang out with.
Do you want me to give my elevator pitch or do you want me to tell you what I do for fun?
I'm going to let you tell me what we do for fun because that's generally how I vote. Who would I most like to hang out with?
All right.
And then I'll let you give the elevator.
I spend a lot of time playing video games in my spare time because I can disassociate from the reality of the world.
What is a video? When I was a kid, video games were Nintendo. Like, what do you play?
PC games.
Okay. Oh, on computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any favorite game?
There's a lot that I play, like looter shooters, Minecraft. Those kind of looter shooters.
What is that?
Like CSGO, kind of stuff.
Exciting. All right, elevator pitch, 30 seconds. You're running for Secretary of State. Some people may be seeing you for the first time. Why should they vote for you? What are you going to do?
So why should they vote for me and what am I going to do?
That's right.
Well, first off, I am a native Hoosier. I've been here my entire life. I come with a work ethic like you wouldn't believe. My family has served the state of Indiana for more than 50 years. So when I was growing up, my dad was in service to the town for a while. Both my parents were volunteer first responders. And then my dad became a fire chief in the local township and was retired there just about 5 years ago after 50 years of service. And I see that heart of service as a servant leader. And that's really what I want to bring to this race, is someone who's willing to do the work to serve the people of Indiana. I want to go in and modernize that website. I want to make sure that people have trust in their elections again, because let's face it, this is the chief election officer for the state, and we want to make sure that people have trust in what's going on. When they read headlines about terrible mismanagement, about ethic violations, they start to lose trust, and that's why voters disengage. That's why they stop interacting with our democracy. And I want to make them feel like they have a faith in someone in that role who can actually get the job done.
Can you pledge to us right now, Lori Schilling's Libertarian nominee for Secretary of State, that you will not disappear to a foreign country for 10 days on an economic development mission?
As economic development really has nothing to do with this role, I would pledge that. Unless if I go to a foreign country, it's for an actual vacation, not to do work.
Very good. And the website?
LauriForLiberty.com, LAURI for Liberty.com.
Thank you very much.
Would love to have you. Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Your bathroom fan could be secretly costing you thousands of dollars in damages. Most people don't even know this until the damage is done. With over 18 years of bathroom remodeling experience, here are 3 signs your fan is failing you without spending a dime on inspections. Sign number 1 is if you have foggy mirrors after you shower. This shows that your fan isn't pulling out enough moisture, which creates the perfect environment for mold. If you have a properly functioning bathroom fan that is the right size for your space, you shouldn't see much fogginess on your bathroom mirror at all. Sign number 2 is if you have bubbling, cracking, or peeling paint in your bathroom. This means moisture is soaking into your walls, slowly breaking down drywall, and even causing the wood framing behind it to rot. Sign number 3 is if you have mold buildup on your fan, ceilings, or walls. This is terrible for your health, but also could wreck your bathroom, costing you a fortune. If you're noticing any of these signs, here's what you can do.
Call Vent Savvy today at 317-300-4434. That's 317-300-4434, and mention Rob for a free attic inspection.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being a part of the program with us. If you haven't yet, we really need you to do this. I know. Rob's harping on us again. Hit that little thumbs up button. That is such a huge help to us. Help us grow this program. Hit that little thumbs up. Let people know you like the program. I think you remain anonymous when you do that, so you're not going to out yourself if you do that. And if you haven't, hit the subscribe button as well. Help us grow those subscriptions. Check out the website, robkendallshow.com, robkendallshow.com. We got the live link there, all the podcasting platforms, articles based on the transcripts of our favorite segments each day, and, of course, the support button. If you're feeling super generous and you say, damn, that Rob Kendall and producer Jason are amazing, hit that support button over there, $1, $10, whatever it is, robkendallshow.com. Speaking of supporting the show, somebody who supports the show, Vent Savvy. You know, guys, I didn't realize this until I met our friends at Vent Savvy, but most bathroom exhaust fans aren't actually doing what they're supposed to do. A lot of them are undersized for the room, or they're not vented properly to the outside. So when you take a hot shower, the moisture isn't leaving your house. It ends up in the ceiling or the attic, and that's where mold or bigger problems start to develop. That's why you got to call Vent Savvy. Here's how this works. What a deal for the Rob Kendall Show audience. Just head over to ventsavvy.com, VENTSAVVY.com. Tell John, the owner of Vent Savvy, hey, I heard about you on Rob's show, and what's going to happen? He's going to come to your house free of charge. He's going to crawl around in your attic. He's going to see if he finds anything. If he doesn't, he says, you're good to go. See you later. If he does, he's going to show you what he found. And then you make the call on how you guys want to deal with that going forward. But there's no cost, no obligation. Just head over to ventsavvy.com, VENTSAVVY.com. Tell him you heard about him on Rob's show. Okay. Fascinating story from the Indiana Capital Chronicle yesterday. And it deals with how much there was AARP. So you guys know the AARP, American Association of Retired Persons or People. They are all things of the advanced age in this country, advocates for people of advanced age. And they did a little math on the dollar amount. This is very interesting. They did a math on the dollar amount that of unpaid labor each year when it comes to dealing with Hoosiers that are in need of constant care. So the amount of, if you were to put a dollar amount on the amount of care that loved ones do for free for their aging parents, children with severe disabilities, etc., people who need regular care. And the AARP found that there's 1.1 million Hoosiers who act as caregivers to parents, spouses, and other adults who need that continuing care. So what a great thing. We're a state of 7 million people. Take out the kids, etc., over 5 million people. And a fifth of us at 1.1 million are providing care for our loved ones who need it. That's a very Hoosier thing, and I love that. $16.1 billion is the total. $16.1 billion is the total of unpaid labor each year for Hoosiers taking care of their loved ones. Now, what they did was, this is interesting how they did this. Collectively, AARP found that Hoosiers give about 860 million hours of unpaid labor. 860 million hours each year. The way they came up with this is apparently the going rate, the market rate for these people that are in these fields of taking care of loved ones, of people come to your house, etc., is $18.68 an hour. So they took that 860 million hours. They took $18.68 an hour, and that's where they came up with the $16.1 billion figure. Now, this is up, and this is where it's interesting, and this is where the government and our government policy comes in. So let me give you this stat real quick. The numbers are up from 2023 that found 790,000 Hoosiers provided 740 million hours of care to their loved ones and those that are severely disabled at a value of $10.8 billion. So what we're seeing is, and this makes sense, right? Like, people are living longer. Population is rising. And as people are living, the older population is rising, you're more apt to need more time to help those people out. You have seen in the past 2 years a dramatic increase of people that are, giving of their time from 790,000 to 1.1 million, and the total hours of 740 million to 860 million. And the cost has ballooned, skyrocketed to 16.1 billion from 10.8 billion. One of the reasons for this, and this is big, is the state has taken away the amount of money they are willing to give to parents, to loved ones who take care of their elderly parents, grandparents, and the severely disabled. We've seen this crackdown because Medicaid is broke. Medicaid in the state of Indiana is completely broke, and they've had to try to cut hundreds of millions of dollars. And again, I know for you who are longtime viewers, this is a broken record, but it's very important. The reason Medicaid is broke? Because Eric Holcomb had a do-drop-in policy on Medicaid during COVID, in which he wanted you to believe that he could take your job from you, he could shut down your business, he could force you to stay at home, and you weren't going to miss anything. And so they started throwing able-bodied people left and right on the Medicaid rolls. People who should have been and could have been, and in many cases were working. They had jobs where they got insurance, they got medical care. Well, can't have that if you don't have a job to go to because Holcomb took it from you. And so the state realized, oh, crap, once the federal money ran out, oh, we've got all these people on the Medicaid rolls. Now we got to throw them off. Well, we don't want to throw them all off because then people will be pissed and they'll vote for the other party. And since Republicans control and break everything in this state, they said, well, we'll start finding other ways to cut as well. And they went after, and it's really gross because government shouldn't do a lot of things it does. One of the things we should do is take care of the most vulnerable amongst us. And taking care of the most vulnerable amongst us, I'm talking people with severe disabilities. And by the way, speaking of that, Dr. Jim Dalton, who's the head of DAMAR, is going to be with us on Friday. And we're going to talk about the work that DAMAR does. We're going to talk about abuses in the system that have been found related to these providers that are severely abusing the system with people with autism. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how we fix this issue, because DAMAR does a great job of taking care of helping out, of creating better lives for the most vulnerable amongst us. Of course, DAMAR, full disclosure, also a sponsor of our State House Happenings program. They have been for multiple years now. But we're going to talk about that. And one of the things the government should be doing, we as a society should say, government, help us do this, is to give the best life possible to people who don't have a whole hell of a lot to look forward to. People who are, in many ways, unable to fend for or take care of themselves. And we should, first and foremost, be throwing the able-bodied people off the Medicaid rolls before we start cutting the amount we're paying parents and brothers and sisters who are doing the right thing. They're giving up their lives, basically. It's not like it's some glamorous money suck. I think about my dear, dear friend Michael. Super fan Michael. We've talked about Michael numerous times over the years. Michael has numerous afflictions. One of them, most prominent, is cerebral palsy. It's the easiest way to describe it. Michael is wheelchair bound. He cannot speak. He can communicate. He's very smart. And his parents provide, Michael's an adult, his parents provide around-the-clock care for him. And they give him an amazing life given all the obstacles that he has. You know what the state of Indiana said to them? Here's a middle finger. We're slashing the amount of money we're going to pay you. Hey, you say, well, how do I do this then? How do I pay my rent? How do I pay my mortgage? How do I put food on the table? Well, I guess you better figure it out. So what happens is people like Michael's parents, they have not done this yet, but many people are going back to work, just saying, I can't pay the bills. Well, what do I do with my child? What do I do with my elderly grandparent or great-grandparent or mom or dad? Well, you send them to that nursing home over there. You send them to that institution over there. And that's what our government is forcing these people to do, the choices they're being forced to make. If you can't afford to do it, sure, you do an incredibly noble, great thing to give of your life to take care of someone who needs it. And we as a society, one of the things we should say as a society, as a government, is we're going to take care of the most vulnerable amongst us. And oftentimes that means the best life for them is to be in the home around their loved ones who aren't doing anything to get rich. They're giving up their own life to take care of their loved ones. And you're seeing these numbers start to go up because people aren't getting paid. And eventually they're not going to be able to do that anymore. By the way, according to Capital Chronicle, the average family caregiver spends 27 hours each week assisting a parent, spouse, or other adult. Let's talk a little bit about Bramwell Mackay. Leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home. Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell Mackay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments, if not the biggest investment. Treat it that way. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY.com, your masonry, foundation, and chimney specialists. Okay, interesting article here, guys, before we get to producer Jason and the best YouTube comments of the day. You guys shop at Costco? I do. Buy lots of things in bulk. You guys ever been to Costco? If you got the Costco membership? I only go once every couple months. I just don't have space to store everything. So I only buy select things at Costco. And obviously, I assume most of you are familiar. Costco is essentially a big, giant warehouse. And everything you buy in bulk, and you get a better price because you buy it in bulk. Costco has its own brands, too, that are cheaper, all that sorts of stuff. So WTHR has an article that there is a proposed class action lawsuit. It's now been filed in federal court in Seattle. And this is really interesting. It accuses Costco of charging shoppers higher prices tied to federal tariffs, then seeking refunds for the same tariffs, the cost of the tariff after the tariffs were struck down by the Supreme Court. So you follow me here? Okay, so Costco came out and said, okay, Trump, you want these tariffs. Well, it's costing us more to buy everything, so we're going to have to charge everyone more for everything. Okay, seems reasonable. Well, now Costco and numerous other big retailers have filed claims to get their money back because the Supreme Court said, hey, those tariffs are unconstitutional. The way Trump did them, they're not going to stand. Costco said, okay, cool, we want our money back. Well, now people are raising their hand going, well, wait a second. I paid all this extra money based on a tariff, and now you're going to get your money back from the tariffs. I want my money back, too, that you told me was about the tariff. It was filed in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington against the Costco Wholesale Group. And the plaintiffs, and this is rightful, I mean, like my mind, I'm just a low-level, what do they call, a bird lawyer, right? Like I'm just a low-level, guy that watches legal drama on TV. I know nothing about the law. But to me, this makes sense, right? Yeah, layman. It's totally, I've been called that many times in my life. Basically, it seemed right. They said, you're charging for the same, you're collecting the same money twice if you're getting your money back. So this is going to be fascinating to see what happens. The lawsuit says shoppers covered those tariffs to the cost of higher prices, and Costco later became eligible to seek the refunds from the federal government. Instead, the lawsuit points to public comments because Costco, they were saying, look, if there's some way we're going to credit you, look at what you buy, look at what you bought, what the charge was, we'll credit your account, whatever. They're not doing that. Instead, the lawsuit points to public comments from the Costco CEO saying any tariff refunds, get this, would be given to customers lower prices and better values in the future. And they said, how the hell are we going to track that? So this is going to be very interesting. As a Costco shopper, I am cheering for the lawsuit. Maybe I'll get $9 back. I sure as hell need it. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we've got a lot more news to get to, other big stories, how people moved in 2025. This is very interesting, how people traveled, where they went to, what states they went to, and why. And we're also going to have producer Jason with the best YouTube comments of the day. Don't go anywhere. Bunch of shows still to go. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, a realtor with App Properties. Born and raised right here in Central Indiana and a Hoosier through and through. Selling your home is a massive undertaking, and I completely understand what that is. That's why when you work with me, we put a great plan together to make sure that when your home comes to the market, it is in the best light possible. Again, I'm Lauren Wilson, 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Let's put a plan together and get your home sold.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. If you haven't, hit that little thumbs up button. I wouldn't ask you to do it if it weren't super important. It's like 2 seconds of effort. Helps us out immensely. Hit the thumbs up button on the YouTube feed. Hit that subscribe button as well. And you guys are helping us by doing that. Just little things that help us grow the show by leaps and bounds. Also, just a reminder, I have a new article out in the Star today, indystar.com. I've got it pinned up at Rob M. Kendall if you want to read it once we're done here, about the Trump endorsements in Indiana, how I think they will ultimately lead to bad government because I think they're making candidates lazy. We're not able to hold them to account. And so you can read that today at indystar.com. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you about Lauren Wilson, Realtor Extraordinaire. One of the biggest complaints people have with real estate is never actually talking to their agent. That's why we love Lauren Wilson. I've talked to Lauren Wilson many times. She always responds to my texts when I send them to her, and she's very pleasant. She handles her clients directly. Lauren has spent her entire life right here in central Indiana. She's a military vet. She'd love to hear from you. You get with Lauren Wilson, and I can confirm this, like I said, you get a direct line right to her with a great support team behind her and behind the scenes making everything seamless. She believes in a higher level of service. So whether you're upgrading for a growing family or downsizing for retirement, Lauren provides that hands-on experience that it takes to take the stress out of the process. Big supporter of our show. Support the people who support us. Lauren Wilson with At Properties, 317-590-2290, 317-590-2290. And look, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about something we touched on earlier today, which was we were talking about the media landscape in the state of Indiana. We were talking about how media functions and the future of media in the state of Indiana. And I think it's important when we talk about how media functions going forward that we're all cheering for everyone to succeed, that we're all cheering for everybody to move in the same direction, that we're all cheering for everyone to succeed because we need as many people, as many eyes on our government as possible. And I know that's a broken record. I know we've talked about that before. I know we've been through saying, hey, support everybody, even if you don't agree with them politically. But it's really important because the more eyes that are on our government, the more eyes that are watching out for us, the more eyes that are keeping an eye on your local governments. Think about how many local governments just get away with stuff. They just do whatever it is they want to do because they don't fear anybody finding out about it. And if people do find out about it, the media is not going to cover it. The more that happens, the more people that are out there covering what's going on, the better off we're all going to be. So when we talk about news agencies being bought, when we talk about downsizing, it's not good, but hopefully it gets built back better. Was that a slogan? Wasn't somebody build back better? Maybe that's not the best one to use. I think that was Biden. We'll scrap that one. But the point of all this is that we should all be cheering for media outlets to succeed. Television, radio, print, all of them. We want them to succeed. We want them all to do well. And so when we talk about the downsizing that took place, every single one of us should feel for those people who lost their jobs. It's not a callous thing. It's that we've got to change the way the landscape works. We've got to adapt with the way the changing landscape is working. So just a reminder on that nobody's cheering for anybody to lose their job. Nobody's happy that anybody lost their job. But you got to be prepared for it. We got to be prepared as we handle terrestrial media going forward that it's going to be different. It's going to change. It's going to be different.
All right, let's see if. Hey, I believe we've got me back in now. Hold on, I need to make one adjustment here. This is you just gotta love what's going on here.
Were you not plugged in?
I don't know what the hell's going on, but it seems like it may be working now.
So I was working the whole time. It's just you wasn't working.
It was something wasn't working. Can you hear me now, guys? Let's see if that. Again, every day we come in here, we've got to set things up, we've got to tear things down, and so we'll go with this and hope that this is working. If somebody wants to pop in there and let us know, and again, we'll try the black sheep.
And we don't by the way, guys, we don't kid what's going on here. We told you this from the beginning. We're hopefully going to be at a new studio sooner rather than later, and we're in a makeshift place. Everybody's been super helpful to us. We don't act like this is a big television studio. We're doing this for you guys, and it's two guys, and we've never made any bones about it, and we tell you things are going to break and things are not going to work, and we just do things to the best of our ability to help, to try to cover things that are important to you guys, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't.
I'm just surprised I made it work without like cutting you completely off.
Yeah.
That's
as long as I'm working, that's all that matters.
Okay, apparently everything is working again. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, TG Mod. Thanks, guys. Steve Green with an E, and Lila loves ducks. All right, guys. So
look, it's gonna happen, guys. And like we were talking about, like, it's interesting you said this because it comes back to what we talked about earlier, which is this is the new landscape, right? And it doesn't mean you're gonna have a big corporation behind you. And hell, things used to break all the time at the radio station. Didn't we go like a month where every day there was some deal? So it doesn't matter where you're at. It's going to happen. Just bear with people. They're all trying to do this for you guys. Go ahead.
All right. So, okay, I guess assuming that we're back, let's start from the top, shall we? This chat brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to the plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. That number 765-315-7558. It's on the website. You can go check that out as well. 765-315-7558. There we go, Rob. So we're ready for the chat.
Let's do it.
There we go. Just making sure I'm still on. All right. So I'm going to have to skip all the awesome producer Jason comments today. You talked about Lauren Wilson earlier.
Yes.
Wino Gina. I think that's Wino Gina.
Wino?
Wineaux.
Wino.
Lauren Wilson looks like an actress.
Well, she's not. She's a real person.
No, she's a real person, but she could. Well, she does a good acting job on the commercial. She did a fine job. That was very. And I wouldn't call it acting. It's stage presence,
right.
Camera presence. Well, there we go. All right. So somebody liked your article in the Indy Star this morning. Josh Richardson read the article this morning. Solid read, Rob. Nice work. Jack the Libertarian. Parlay bet. Trump gets thrown out of the Supreme Court hearings.
So for those you missed the early part of the show, the Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments today on the birthright citizenship case, and Trump said he was going in person.
All right. So you think it'd be that they're heckling?
I just think that's a bad
Supreme Court
move.
judges.
I just like.
Just
I don't
give him that stare.
I don't know why he's going. Like
that's crazy.
He's the president. I don't know, but whatever. In terms of things he does that I don't understand. That's probably way down the list.
Yeah, the justices are going to be there long after Trump's gone. So, Kevin Branham, hi Jason. Your segment in about 83 minutes, which would have been about 83 minutes ago. He's always right on time. Charles Sluty. I think it's Sluty.
Okay.
I think the E is actually like an EY or an IE. I think it's Sluty. Confirm that, Charles. If you're born in the U.S., you are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, owing allegiance to the U.S. and not some foreign entity. This is how the High Court intended the amendment to be applied. Is that what you said?
Look, my thing on it is I don't think any reasonable person would say that in the days after the Civil War that the United States Congress was passing a birthright citizenship rule to allow people to illegally invade our country and allow their children to become citizens. It was clearly done to protect, and rightfully so, the freedom and ensuring that freed slaves had rights, that ensuring that everybody knew they were citizens, that they were equal, that they mattered. That was the reason it was written the way it was, and that's why it says jurisdiction thereof, which they clearly were as free people. Like, it's just unbelievable to me that this has gone on for all this time, and that we've come up with this convoluted thing about, well, you cheated your way into the country, but now your kid's a citizen. That is BS.
Nick H., we're a great community. Come and join us. Nick would be talking about the chat. You all can get in the chat. Hundreds of chat comments here. And the way this works is when the show is live, you can get in here and you can talk amongst yourselves and that sort of thing and ask us questions and all that. But once the show's over, if you go back and you hit play on the show, you can read these comments in real time and read all these. But if you don't hit play, then after the show, it's just the comment section underneath the video, and there's only maybe usually 4 or 5 comments there. So all the now those are good comments, and we're going to get to those tomorrow. I'm going to pull some of those out tomorrow. Mostly everything I'm doing here on a daily basis is what is in the live chat. So there's 2 different chats that are going on. Yes, you're right, Nick. This is a great community, and we appreciate everybody. Jennifer, before that major screw-up, said, producer Jason has the perfect game show host voice. I'll take it. All right.
Maybe that if it doesn't work out here.
There you go. Carol, happy Wednesday, joining a little late today. Well, Carol, we're happy to have you. Better late than never. Joseph Norris, we will be able to say we graduated from the University of Rob Kendall. There we go.
There you go.
Bowden JM. I'm not really sure how to put that one together. Or could be Bo Denham, perhaps. Words never known until yesterday. Noem, husband.
Look,
I never paid attention to Noem's husband.
Well, I asked people what their opinion on it is.
So you're saying he's kind of a fruity guy?
Well, I'm saying everybody's got something about their private life or personal life that you're like, man, I really would got to be embarrassed or not want the public to know it or whatever. So I'm not the part of me that's like people's private lives or their private lives, whatever you do, as long as it doesn't harm other people, I don't care. However,
right,
when you are in a position of authority, or you present yourself as being morally superior, or you're giving moral advice to people, or you're giving moral orders to people, or in this guy's case, you're married to someone who is ripe for blackmail. Like you could, the position,
Well, is it blackmail if you don't care that people know you do it? And obviously he doesn't care that people know he does it.
He doesn't care, but she might.
Yeah.
She's the one we got to worry about.
Well, that's something if it comes out during like if she were running for president and it came, they would
she
absolutely.
was the head of Homeland Security.
Well,
she's in charge of who can come into the country.
Well, your husband wants to dress in a dress. That has nothing
Yeah,
to do
but
with
does she care? I get that he doesn't.
Right.
Now,
Well, she obviously doesn't or didn't.
Well, maybe she didn't know.
Well, one of the reasons she was let go from as director of Homeland Security, there was also a little alleged affair going on
with Lewandowski.
So maybe she needed a real man. I don't know how that all played out.
Corey Lewandowski once did a liner for my show.
He did.
He said how great I was.
Oh.
So I hate that this has gone the way it's gone. But like he clearly didn't care because he was putting his face in the photos.
Mm-hmm.
He was
That's what I'm saying. So there's no blackmail there.
Money.
Right. So, okay. And just to be specific, again, speaking of Noem, you mentioned the chestal area or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, you should probably refer to those as pecs.
But it's
they're
but
pecs.
no, I was saying chestal area like a woman. They
look
like a woman's
okay.
chestal area.
Well, Nicholas Kurtz was the one that said they're pecs. Kevin Brandt and Lucas Notorious. Well, you just call them boobs. I think we could. We could get away with boobs. Maybe not if you say that's a woman. Maybe not.
That's what I was trying to do. I mean, you can say
so
it.
We'll,
it's not like
we'll
they're
edit
taking
that.
down. I'm just trying to have applicable terrestrial media standards to this program.
Vic Ferrari says, what?
It's very odd.
It's very odd.
Okay, he was basically dressing up like a woman that had all sorts of surgical enhancements. That's probably the easiest way to say it.
Okay, LD Stoltz. No, excuse me, MLM Warriors. Who and what does this have to do with Indiana?
Well, she's the head of Homeland Security.
That includes the state of Indiana.
Which includes the state of Indiana.
All right. Let's see. Well, Drew offers another word for that, but we'll skip on down through all that. And Vic Ferrari admits, okay, I'll admit I like to dress up like a baby sometimes. So everybody has their thing. Steve Green with an E. It doesn't harm me, but it is disturbing. And Drew adds, who doesn't dress like that sometimes?
Hey, whatever you look at your personal life, I don't care. Like, I don't care. It's not newsworthy. People, like I said, people do sex tapes, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care unless you're, one, putting yourself in some sort of superiority position to other people. Like, I don't know, you're a pastor of a large church and you're telling people what to do and how to live their lives. That's a big deal. Or you're potentially somehow harming or opening the country up to harm. Like, I don't anything else I don't care. Like, I don't care people's personal lives. None of that. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I just think, look, maybe she knew about it.
No, there's got to be a standard or decorum. Mad Duck. Fruity, he passed Fruity like 7 exits ago. All right. I agree with that. Let's see. Local news. On to the local news. Steve Green with an E. Local news is just advertisements now. Hence the segments on Dairy Queen and their new summer flavors. That's not news. It's paid advertisements. I don't disagree with that at all. MLM Warriors. Viewers are freaking out about WRTV. Some think it's an April Fool's joke. Timing of the end of March and 1st of April is bad timing and causing confusion. Well, maybe on Facebook, but I think it's a pretty legit. It's been reported in enough
Yeah, I mean, it's been
places.
going
We
on
know
for
what you're
months.
getting at, though. We
Yeah.
know what you're getting at. Debbie Holcomb, do I need to subscribe to the Star now?
Look, if you want to read my stuff, I think it's going to be like, I don't want to guarantee like every week I'm going to be writing something, but they're very happy. I think it's going to be a somewhat regular thing. We encourage you to support whatever local media that you want to be a part of, and if you're doing that, then I think you got to have that to read my writing.
Nick H.
Put it
Rush.
behind a paywall.
Nick H. Rush brought me to radio again. Rob brought me here.
That's right.
There we go. All right, Bill Shirk. Mad Duck says Bill Shirk. Wow. And
Do you want to tell
MLM
everybody who Bill Shirk was?
MLM Warriors, is Bill still alive? Yes, Bill is still alive. Mike Perkins Shatner fan. Oh, Perkins Shatner fan. Shirk, modern day Houdini. There we go. So the story of Bill Shirk, of course, he owned, I believe he married a lady whose parents owned some radio stations, and Bill just gravitated to the radio industry, but he was also a magician, and he would do escape things,
Okay,
Houdini type
the
things.
reason we're talking about this, because I know people don't always listen linearly. Earlier, we were talking about local people, that radio stations, TV stations, newspapers were meant to be owned by local people who wanted to make a lot of money, but they were invested in the community, and they did things around the community, and they did memorable things because the community was first, and then the profit. I mentioned Bill Shirk as like the first name that came to my mind of somebody who would be a great example of this. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And they had to be good back then, because now, like, most people have a favorite radio station or two, but there's not a radio community in the city, for instance, because of internet and cable and things like that. Back in the day, you had 4 or 5 television stations, and your radio station was a mega important part of your day.
Right.
And usually you listen to more than one. But yeah, my interaction with Bill Shirk, I don't know if you would be here without Bill Shirk, because I probably wouldn't be in this industry without Bill Shirk. I was doing newspaper and printing Call magazine back in the early 90s. Well, it was late 80s, early 90s. And I went to Bill Shirk. He had WXLW 950 AM.
Oh, yeah?
And he would sell time to Christian broadcasters and things. So I walked in and said, hey, I'd like to bring my little magazine onto the radio, but we'd like to talk sports and entertainment, things like that. And Bill was like, yeah, let's get out. Let's do something other than this Christian stuff, which, of course, he made a lot of money at, and was, Bill's a very Christian guy. And so he charged me, I believe it was $10 a day for an hour program from 5 until 6 p.m. drive time, the perfect time. The only other, there were no sports talk stations back then. The only guy on the radio was Mark Boyle. He had it locked up with all the listeners and everything. But I went on there with Brian Giffen, and we went on from 5 to 6 o'clock, and we did that for several months. And it would, it'd be like $50 a week or something like that was all it was. And but it was in an ocean of Christian broadcasting, and then there we were. Yeah. And so people would tune in for their favorite show, and then they would tune out, and then they'd be like, well, what's this? This is not Christian or whatever. So we ended up moving over to WQFE, which is 101.9 FM, which became WKLU, which is where young Rob Kendall sauntered in the door and started his radio career. So Bill Shirk was the, kind of gave me my start. Not that this show is about me or my origins or anything, but, Bill was the one that kind of got me started there, and that, in general, kind of helped you
That's wild. Yeah,
get in the door.
I interviewed Bill Shirk. So before I started IBC, I had a show called Central Indiana Today on the Hendricks County radio station, WYRZ. There's so many call letters to remember. I almost said the one we own. That's not the right one. And we had a nightly show. That's how IBC became aware of me, and it was a super cool show. We used to interview a different newsmaker each night. Like, we just sit down for 30 minutes and talk to them, and I interviewed Bill Shirk, and it was like a fascinating guy.
He's an amazing guy. Yeah. We need to get him in here on the couch.
Yeah, he would come.
We need to get him in here. And yes, he's, whoever mentioned, he is still alive.
Still very much still alive.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got to be a part of it with us today.
I can't take myself out of here because I've got this really jerry-rigged to where I'm in here with this audio. I'm piggybacking your audio, so I'm here until the end of the show,
stay with
man.
me the whole time.
I'm sorry.
Well, okay. So you can participate in this
great.
because I think this will be good. So somebody contacted me who's in the radio industry, and they said there's a regular get-together of industry, long-timers, lifers, whatever, and they said, hey, your name came up the other day. People are talking about what you're doing. And they said, people love what you're doing. The question that people have is, how long can you sustain this? Like, how long can you do this? And so I wanted to address that, right? Because people are asking about this. Jason and I are doing this on like a shoestring budget. Like, as we've done numerous things in our existence together. We're going to be able to sustain this for a long time thanks to our sponsors, thanks to the people who are helping us do this. And we're going to grow. Hopefully soon, we may end up somewhere else doing this, and it advances and expansions. And Chris has said, stay as long as you want, and he has been super helpful as we try to get all this figured out and put together a long time. We're going to be able, Lord willing, as long as I'm upright and taking nourishment, and so is Jason, that we're going to be able to sustain this for a while, because I said this from the beginning. The conversations we have are too important. And this is the new medium. Like, that was the message I was trying to deliver earlier with WRTV 6. This is the new medium. Now, it doesn't mean it's this room, or it doesn't mean it's this, specific show. Will it always be 10 to noon? Don't know. Maybe it'll be 10 to 1. Maybe it'll become 9 to noon. Maybe it becomes something.
Depends on whose world we want to shake up.
Yeah. I don't know. But I know this is the thing, and I know the response has been overwhelming, which I was anticipating it being. Look, I didn't want to end up here, but I'm glad I did. I did, and so many people when I was the process of leaving my old job, or being told to leave my old job.
About 2 years too late.
Yeah, well, look,
honestly, it was about 2 years too late. Should have been out of there a couple years ago on your own.
I remember this, and I think I even said this in one of the interviews I did. When Bob Knight got fired from IU, he did an interview with someone. It may have been Mark Patrick. I can't remember who it was with. And they asked him about leaving Indiana. It's like, what are your regrets? And he said, in hindsight, I should have left this place 5 or 6 years ago. And he goes, I loved this place so much that I couldn't see anything but Indiana basketball. And I always thought that was like, man, what a horrible thing to say. Like, as a kid seeing that, right? Because I loved Bob Knight. I was like, man, that breaks my heart as an IU fan, that like the guy who I loved.
And he was correct, because he did kind of turn into a grumpy old man at the end, and he became harder and harder to defend.
Yeah. No, I wasn't
not that we had to defend you.
No. I wasn't like doing some of the stuff Knight was doing. But in hindsight, if the goal is to reach as many people as possible and influence as many people as possible, which is my goal and has always been my goal, because the government is so bad, we have to stop it. And we have to stop them. We have to stop them from screwing you. I had maxed out that ability, like you said, probably 2 years before it all went down. And you keep trying to find, and this is not an indictment of my former employer or of radio stations or of anything. It comes back to the thing about corporations. They work in a certain way, and they don't work for you. They don't work around your druthers or your pleasure. You work for them and their druthers and their pleasure. And you may have all these great ideas. You're like, if we try this, that would be awesome. We could do this, that would be awesome. And what about this? That would be great.
And they're like, I'm just waiting to retire. What are you talking about?
And there was from the standpoint of my primary goal, which was to be an advocate for you and a fighter for you and go to bat for you every single day. And the things I wanted to do that would have made that better, I just wasn't able to do that anymore. And now I can. And it's not in any way meant to besmirch what they're doing, and God bless them, and I hope they're successful, and I hope the people that are still there advocate for you with the same passion I do. I don't know. I don't know if they do or not. I hope they do. I hope they do. That was one of my goals while I was there, to try to motivate the people in the building to have the same level of passion that I do and take the same risk and have the same fight that I do. And I hope they do. Because like I said, we should be cheering for all of our media outlets to be doing that. But this is where I need to be now. And we're going to keep this going. We have enough buzz and enough hype and enough passion and enough enthusiasm, and we're having fun with it. Like, we don't take ourselves super serious. We tell you what's going on. Hey, his mic didn't work, right? Like, we laugh about it.
Jason screwed up again.
It's gonna happen. There's gonna come a day where we're walking here and the internet isn't gonna work, right?
Right.
And we'll have to post show's taped today.
And it's unbelievable that it's been 5 weeks and we have not lost a show.
But the difference is now we have the freedom and flexibility to take on whatever we want to take on whenever whenever we want. And that, not to say that makes us great. It makes it that's the way media needs to be, the way it needs to operate, where we're accountable to you. It's the way media used to be, where the TV stations, the radio stations, there was no internet back then, the newspapers, they were accountable to the public, and everything they did was about, look at what we do for you. And I'm hoping, and I think it's happening, we're going to make media better. We are making media better.
This would be a great show to be on local television from 9 to noon.
Maybe it'll end up back on local radio. I don't know. The point is, it's going to be here, and we're going to do this for you, and we shape the conversation. We do, and we still do. They're still bitching about us. The governor, I think I told this on the air, a very high-profile member in the Indiana State House called me the other day, and he's like, they are still bitching about you. And they were bitching at me about you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like...
And how did he get back on?
Exactly.
Like there's some restriction to keep you off the internet.
So it's going to get bigger, it's going to get better, it's going to grow, but that's only if you guys engage, right? If you keep it going, you have to want to keep it going. And my hope is that we will make other media better. We will make other conservative commentators better and take the stands that they need to take. And if that happens, then this will be a resounding success, regardless of whether $1 is ever made. It'll be a resounding success.
And if I can't get me off there by tomorrow, then I may have to spend the whole show again. So
It'll be fabulous.
No,
right.
I do not co-host. Rob does not work well with co-hosts, as we well know.
And in fairness, I've warned every one of them that I've ever been
and
put
that's
with.
why I know.
Yeah. They always get warned. All right. Thank you, producer Jason. Great job. Thank you to you guys. Another fabulous day. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up button. That helps us out so much on your way out the door today. God bless you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We will see you back here tomorrow, maybe 10 until noon. Rob Kendall Show.
So long, everybody.